Are you avoiding going to university because of how expensive it is? I felt the same until I started researching how I could fund my studies through scholarships and prize funds. Stay tuned to find out how I completed my master's degree without paying a penny in school fees or living costs. My name is Joshua and this is The Art of Money Saving, the place to hear inspiring financial stories from everyday people. Check the show notes to find a list of all my student money related podcast episodes. Remember this man. Nick Clegg will always be remembered as the UK Lib Dem politician that broke his promise to students, increasing university fees from £3,000 to £9,000 a year. 10 years on, and we're still talking about it. At least he apologised.
And for that, I'm sorry.
In this video, we are not going to cover student loans. That is another subject altogether. So let's stick to paying for your degree with no borrowed money at all. You might be wondering why someone would pay an astronomical amount of money for a stranger's tuition fees or living costs. Despite it sounding wacky, it happens more often than you may think. But why? Wealthy individuals, often in their retirement, find themselves with more money than they are able to spend. The idea of passing this wealth on to the next generation is both beneficial for the student, but an equally important act for the donor. This is a quote from Denzel Washington, sums it up perfectly, right? At the end of the day, it's not about what you have or even what you've accomplished. It's about who you've lifted up, who you've made better, and what you've given back. Try and put yourself in the shoes of a wealthy person looking to give money to a good cause. Are you going to give this money to anyone? Of course not. And this should be our first lesson. The way in which you interact with potential sponsors should be personalised and unique. Don't send a blanket email to 100 sponsors saying, I'm looking for someone to pay for my degree. This will not go down well and the email will go straight in the trash can. Each sponsor will have a dream or vision for their fund, and it's your job to find out what that vision is before even considering whether to apply for the scholarship. If you've tuned into this video to find a quick fix, then you're not going to have much luck here. Those that fund their degrees through scholarships have done their due diligence, carefully crafted their applications, and don't take unnecessary shortcuts. Do you fit the criteria? So if you want to study mathematics and you're applying for a fund that supports left-handed puppetry, you have to ask yourself, is this time well spent? I found myself sending applications out left, right and centre to organisations which had nothing to do with my chosen fields. Needless to say, I didn't have much success with these attempts. There will be certain fields that have more scholarships available to them than others. So creative arts and sports come to mind, but don't be discouraged. Connect with your prospective university and reach out to current students to pick their brains. Getting your first scholarship may be the most difficult challenge of all. Whilst we all dream of having one organisation or individual that will pay for your entire course, many funds choose to donate a smaller amount to support more people. Scholarships aren't always necessarily to do with financial need either. Now, we can debate this point all day long, or we can focus on the reality. Sponsors love to be linked with those stars of the school, those who are on the cusp of a great career and destined for great things. Is an applicant with a whole host of awards more likely to be a favourable candidate to support? This shouldn't be the case, but it often is. Therefore, you're going to want to look as favourable as possible, and here are some tips. Your reputation counts. Scholarship boards will not take your application at face value, but they will do some further digging. You will be asked to provide references. These references should ideally be from professionals that are closely linked to the field of your degree. A number of my references were contacted during the application process, so it's worth taking the time and effort to get this right. Treat your referees with respect and give them sufficient time to write your reference. Inform the referee when you need the form to be completed by, and don't leave it to the last moment. If you have a written reference from a previous application, always ask the permission of the referee to use that reference for a new application. I made the mistake of offending a referee by applying for a scholarship using a reference that they had written for a previous application. This didn't go down well, and I had a bit of a telling off. So if the referee were contacted in this situation, they wouldn't have been obligated to speak about me in a favourable way. Your online footprint will play a part in applying for scholarships. If by typing your name into a search engine, the scholarship fund are greeted with TikTok and Instagram videos of you downing shots or using an old age filter, this will not work in your favour. It's also worth thinking about the name which you use and what comes up in the search results. My name is shared with an American TV evangelist that makes gold drop from the sky. After realising this early in my studies, I changed my work name to avoid any confusion. So you found a scholarship that fits your criteria and you're about to start writing your application. You get to determine what the panel reads, and you should strike a fair balance of valuing yourself and your skills but demonstrating your need for financial assistance too. In the British culture, I've noticed that workers in the creative arts particularly struggle with this one. The idea of referring to yourself favourably sounds cringeworthy, and folks often think that it's best to be more humble. We've all seen episodes of The Apprentice where Lord Sugar rips into an applicant for lying on their CV or making claims that are just untrue, and we want to avoid this at all costs.
You're fired.
The opening of your biography is a chance for the panel to learn more about you. You should always start from a position of strength, highlighting your most valuable assets or achievements by using a hook. A hook is one quality that is going to make you stand out compared to your other applicants. Here's a practical example. I studied music from a young age and have always loved singing. Compared to, I have an undeniable passion for music and I've spent the last 10 years studying singing. Both of these examples are true, but the latter, whilst it's bold, has a strong conviction behind it. You will also want to back up your application by going the extra mile and doing something which no other applicant has done before. For me, it was demonstrating that I was a proactive student. I'd hired a small theatre, employed 3 singers and a pianist, and put on an opera gala turning over £1,700 in revenue. Now, whilst this was very time-consuming, I had to have some initiative to make things like that happen. Saying that you have an undeniable passion for music could sound a little naff, but having turned over a profit of £1,700, this statement now becomes more credible. So how did I arrive at a point where my master's degree was paid for entirely by scholarship? Firstly, my fees were paid by a donor through the university. The living costs were down to me. Fund, and I took applying for scholarships very seriously indeed. Other students chose to work part-time, but I decided to focus my time and attention on networking, winning high-level competition prizes since I was studying music, and staying ahead of the game. The amount of students looking for scholarship far outweighs the amount of scholarships that are available. Don't just look at UCAS or individual university websites. It's even worth heading to the 2nd or 3rd pages of Google. I know, shock horror. Sites like the Scholarship Hub have a subscription fee. I haven't used the site myself, but it sounds like an easy option to me. Think about how many students will sign up for the £12 subscription fee thinking that all the work is done for them and they can sit back and relax. Put in the graft, search high and low for opportunities, and don't be afraid to network either. As an introvert, I avoided this at all costs and found that those putting themselves forward openly and happily were shooting much further forward in their career than those that were passive. If I could do it all again, I'd head back to university in a heartbeat. I hope that this video can help get you started on your scholarship quest. Subscribe for more personal finance videos. This is The Art of Money Saving, the place to hear inspiring financial stories from everyday people. Ciao for now, and see you next time.